Music. President Trump has pledged to buy a Tesla after the company's stock dropped. Critics blame CEO Elon Musk, who has become the target of protests across the country, and the stock price has seen a significant decline. While Tesla CEO Elon Musk has been busy making changes with his company, United States President-elect Donald Trump's tariffs are set to impact Tesla in Europe, as the additional tariffs have come into effect. The US stock market started the week at its lowest levels in recent years. While technology companies have been the most affected by this decline, Tesla appears to be the most at risk among them. In recent months, Tesla's sales have continued to fall, not only in the United States but also in Europe and Asia. According to many experts, President Trump has sparked a trade war, and Tesla's owner Elon Musk has supported Trump in this conflict. However, Tesla's sharp decline in value and the negative effects on Musk's other ventures seem to have made Musk regret entering the political arena. Did President Trump's tariffs have such a negative impact on Tesla and Musk? We will analyze the latest developments and conflicts in the world. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, and like to stay up to date with our content. US stocks fell, Bitcoin dropped, and Wall Street's fear gauge hit its highest level this year as concerns over President Donald Trump's economic policies led to a widespread sell-off in markets. The decline on Wall Street began in the early hours, with all three major indices opening sharply in the red. US stocks continued to fall throughout the day and closed lower despite a brief rally in the afternoon. The Dow closed down 890 points, or 2.08%, after recovering from a loss of more than 1,100 points. The broader S&P 500 also dropped 2.7%, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite lost 4%. The Dow and S&P 500 each recorded their worst day of the year, and the Nasdaq saw its biggest single-day decline since September 2022. This decline marked a difficult month for markets, with all three major indices erasing gains since the US presidential election in November. The widespread sell-off was primarily driven by concerns over the impact of President Trump's tariffs. President Trump stated that the US economy would experience a transition period and refused to rule out a recession. When asked if he expected a recession this year, President Trump responded, "I hate predicting these things. There is a transition period because what we are doing is so significant." Technology stocks led the sell-off, weighing on the S&P 500 and pushing the Nasdaq into correction territory. The S&P 500 closed down 8.6% from its record high on February 19th. The so-called Magnificent Seven tech stocks, Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla, were the hardest hit. President Trump's comments that a recession could still be on the table unsettled already anxious investors. White House spokesperson Kush Desai stated that President Trump would trigger historic growth in his second term, highlighting job, wage, and investment growth in his first term. How has this affected Tesla and Elon Musk? Tesla closed Monday down 15.4%. After the US presidential elections in November, Tesla's shares surged, but they have since fallen almost 45% this year, erasing gains made since November. The company's shares have taken a significant hit due to falling sales in Europe and protests against CEO Elon Musk for his involvement in the Trump administration. It's not just liberals and public servants who are angry with Elon Musk. Tesla's falling stock price has upset many investors too. Tesla's stock surged 91% after Election Day, peaking just before Christmas, as investors believed Musk and his company would benefit from Trump's second term. Musk was one of Trump's biggest financial backers during the campaign and has since become one of the most high-profile members of his administration, serving as head of the Department of Government Productivity, DOGE, where he seeks to make deep cuts to spending and lay off thousands of federal employees. However, the stock is down 5.6% in trading, now 45% lower than its December peak. Since Trump's inauguration and Musk's rise to power, shares have lost 38% of their total value. This decline in stock price likely reflects concerns that Musk is a much more visible and polarizing figure within the Trump administration than initially anticipated. Following the election, many investors expected Musk to take on a more traditional advisor role without actively engaging in controversial policies. Musk had enough other business interests, including Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, and X, to remain occupied. However, the drop in Tesla's value points to headwinds the company faces, including increased competition from other automakers in key markets like China and Europe. Tesla's sales have also struggled, contributing to its stock price decline. Despite a 34% increase in electric vehicle sales in Europe in January, Tesla's sales in China, its second largest market after the US, fell 29% in the first 2 months of the year. In the US, Tesla's sales dropped 16% between December and January, according to estimates from Cox Automotive. While this dip could be a seasonal trend, as Tesla typically pushes to meet its year-end financial targets before seeing a drop in sales, January 2024's sales were 24% lower than December 2023's. Analyst Gordon Johnson commented that Tesla's global sales are booming, but the sales drop in China is mainly due to competition. In Western countries, however, consumer dissatisfaction with Musk's actions seems to be a factor. Johnson suggested that reversing this trend may be difficult, especially as full autonomous driving technology has not yet been realized. Even some optimistic investors worry that Musk will miss growth targets for Tesla in 2025. Jen Mister, managing partner at Deepwater Asset Management, observed that investors are adjusting their expectations for Tesla deliveries this year. Musk's earlier prediction of a 20%-30% increase in deliveries was no longer mentioned a month ago, signaling that the target might not be met. Experts are questioning whether Musk's political profile is partly responsible for Tesla's stock decline. During the election, it was unclear how involved Musk would be in the Trump administration. Now, some see Musk as wielding more authority than Trump, which is negatively affecting the Tesla brand. Protests were organized outside Tesla stores across the country, and one individual in Loveland, Colorado, was arrested for violent acts and possession of incendiary devices directed at a Tesla store. S&P Global Mobility's state-by-state sales data indicates a notable shift in consumer behavior. Tesla's repeat buyer rate in blue states, those voting Democratic in the last 4 presidential elections, fell from 72% in Q4 2023 to 65% in Q4 2024. Meanwhile, repeat buyers in red states, those voting Republican in the last 4 elections, increased slightly from 47.6% at the end of 2023 to 48.2% in the final quarter of the year. As a result, Tesla has lost about a percentage point of market share in blue states, including large markets like California. A recent survey by Morning Consult showed that 32% of US buyers would not consider purchasing a Tesla, up from 27% a year ago and just 17% in February 2021. The percentage of potential buyers who are very likely or almost certain to buy a Tesla has remained relatively unchanged at 16% over the past 4 years. Additionally, social media reactions, including videos of people booing Cybertrucks, suggest growing discontent with Musk. Needing police escorts during the Mardi Gras parade in New Orleans, as well as reports of individuals endorsing acts of vandalism against Teslas and incidents involving Tesla stores or vehicles, have raised concerns. Beyond worries about potential customers avoiding Teslas due to Elon Musk's public statements, analyst Moner noted a broader concern that Musk may be shifting his focus away from running Tesla, the company that forms the core of his wealth. Moner pointed out that Musk is not only the CEO of Tesla, but also leads SpaceX, owns the social media platform X, and has founded companies like XAI and Neuralink, which is developing brain-computer interface technology. Musk has really redefined what is acceptable for business leaders in terms of taking on multiple ventures simultaneously, Moner said. However, there are natural limits to what one person can manage. Additionally, as tensions between China and the United States rise, there are growing concerns that Tesla could face challenges due to its business ties with China. According to Isaac Stonefish, CEO of the business intelligence firm Strategy Risks, Beijing has leverage over Elon Musk and Tesla due to its significant market presence and supply chain dependencies. However, some argue that Musk's connections could also present opportunities for Tesla in global markets. Tesla's full self-driving FSD technology has made strides, but it still requires drivers to remain alert and ready to take control. Ongoing accidents involving FSD have led to multiple investigations by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA. Musk previously projected that by mid-2023, Tesla vehicles would be capable of operating autonomously as part of a ride-hailing service in Austin, Texas. However, competitors like Waymo, a subsidiary of Alphabet, and Uber have already launched self-driving services in that city. These companies plan to expand their operations with fully autonomous vehicles next year. Despite Tesla's current sales challenges, some experts remain optimistic about the company's future. They argue that the true value of Tesla lies in its potential for autonomous driving. Trump has been supportive of Musk, and Tesla could benefit from regulatory opportunities to demonstrate the safety of robotaxis, one analyst noted. However, others remain skeptical. Analyst Johnson highlighted that Musk has repeatedly promised fully autonomous vehicles within a short time frame over the past decade, and any further delays could negatively impact Tesla's stock. Elsewhere, in the stock market, Nvidia shares declined by 5%, and Palantir, another major player in artificial intelligence, dropped 10%. According to Gina Bolvin, president of Bolvin Wealth Management Group, when stocks become overextended in one direction, they tend to correct in the other. The VIX, Wall Street's fear index, reached its highest level this year, reflecting growing market uncertainty. Bitcoin also saw a decline, falling to around $78,000 at the start of the week, its lowest level since November, as riskier assets were sold off. Stocks have struggled amid uncertainty over U.S. trade policy. The S&P 500 experienced its worst week since September following an announcement from President Biden regarding new tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico, though their implementation was postponed until April 2nd. Additional tariff increases included a 10% to 20% hike on imports from China and a 2% tariff on all steel and aluminum imports, which took effect on March 12th. David Barnum, Chief Investment Officer at Barnes & Group, remarked, "The discussion surrounding tariffs is sometimes more disruptive than the tariffs themselves. The uncertainty creates speculation and market volatility. While the long-term outcome of these policies remains uncertain, analysts anticipate potential economic slowdowns in the short term. The tariffs have also had broader economic effects across the United States. Layoffs are increasing, hiring is slowing, and consumer confidence is weakening. Inflation continues to rise, while the yield on the 10-year U.S. Treasury bond has fallen to 4.225% as investors shift towards safer assets, signaling economic concerns."